to make of the devout silence of feminists regarding the refugee rape crisis in Europe?
Oh, do you want to talk about
I'm going to say something that's going to offend some of you in the room. If that's the case, good, because I don't care. As a gay man, as a European, I am absolutely fucking terrified by the prospect of mass Muslim immigration. It is something that I regard with horror and terror, because we have seen in Europe, and you are relatively well insulated from this in the United States, you don't know how bad it will get yet. You're relatively well insulated from the consequences of this happening. We have seen now in Europe what does happen when you import hundreds of thousands of people from these cultures that are not compatible with ours. In Sweden, you've got the progressive left politicians telling gay rights groups that they're being needlessly provocative by marching through Muslim areas. Now, I always thought that was the whole point of gay pride, was to sort of wander through reactionary, bigoted, socially conservative communities and stick two fingers up. But apparently, if they're Islamic, that's not okay, because they're higher in the victim pyramid than we are. The silence of feminism, and indeed the immediate victim blaming of young German girls after the sexual assaults in Cologne, and loads of others as well. There was a transgender couple that were beaten up after some Syrians found out they weren't really women. Women all over Germany being abused. 1,400 girls gang raped in Rotherham in the UK because the progressive authorities were scared of appearing racist and didn't police it properly. And that's not feverish tabloid right-wing media. That's a government report that said it. This stuff is horrifying. Importing cultures which genuinely represent patriarchy, which embody all of the things that third-wave feminists say they hate, and importing these people en masse into our communities in Europe has been an unmitigated disaster. Up until recently, many European cultures were melting pots of different ethnicities-ish, but what united them was a set of values. Now, a set of British, I would say, one of the reasons I love America so much is it's sort of the highest and most perfect distillation of values that the British didn't invent, but spread more successfully than probably anybody else around the world. Most of the places in the world that are a nice place to live are nice because we were there. Australia, Canada, Even look at the Middle East. Those countries in the Middle East where women can wear what they want and don't have to cover their heads are the countries the British were in, like Kuwait. So we spread these values pretty well, and America's kind of took them and ran with them and created this wonderful, iconic society of freedom and all the rest of it. You're losing it a bit under the current president, but you did a really good job with that, and that was great. And the problem with Europe is we having successfully created societies that were melting pots of different ethnicities. The Indian immigrants who came into Britain in the 50s and 60s, who are now the best Brits there are, never get into trouble, always pay their taxes, you never see their names in the press, they never get into trouble, they get arrested for anything. Model citizens, perfect, British citizens, because they instinctively understood and agreed with principles of freedom of speech, liberty, property rights, democracy, all these things. Same with the West Africans who came into Britain. Now the highest rates of interracial marriage are between West African origin and white people in European whites in Britain, because these West African kids all went to English schools. They came over playing cricket. They were more British than we were. I was like, you actually play cricket? The problem is, this new generation of immigrants from the Middle East do not share any of those values. They haven't integrated. They have stubbornly refused to integrate over generations. Britain now sends more people to ISIS than anywhere except Belgium. There's a significant and serious problem. And I would love to hear from anyone why it is that feminism is not just making excuses for the most barbaric, woman-hating, abusive, patriarchal behavior. And there's a situation in which I don't find it ridiculous to use the word patriarchal. Why it is victim-blaming those women, telling them effectively they shouldn't be going out too late at night and they should have male companions, they should take better care of themselves. Why it has so brainwashed a young German girl that 2 days ago, this girl, we reported on this at Breitbart, posted on Facebook that although she had been sexually assaulted by a Syrian assailant, she was sorry because she didn't want to draw attention to it because it might stoke racism. the fact that we've got into that situation where feminism has effectively turned on women, I would love somebody to tell me how we got there.